Good afternoon. The time is 2:05 p.m. I'm going to call to order the meeting, the special meeting of the Rules Administration Procedure Committee for the City of Aurora. Today's date, November 7th, 2025. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Chairperson Edward J. Bug.
Here.
Vice Chair Daniel Barrero.
Here.
Alderman Javier Benuelos.
Here.
Alderman Shweta Bade.
Here.
Alderman at-large Will White.
Here.
5 present.
Thank you very much. As we get started, we're first going to have a presentation, some brief discussion, and then we'll get on into the agenda item and other items. So I'm going to have staff come forward, and there's been some discussion about the impact of the possible ordinance. And I'll go ahead and read the item to put it in the record. 25-0898 ordinance restricting the use of City of Aurora property for civil immigration enforcement activities. So first we're going to have staff discuss a little bit about the other municipalities that have already passed such an ordinance and that impact in those cities. And then we're going to discuss the scope of a possible ordinance, what areas of the city that would exactly cover. So, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Shannon Cameron, Chief of Staff. Hello, committee and other aldermen. So, as far as other municipalities, we looked at Carpentersville and Evanston's, specifically. The city of Chicago did an executive order, and then there were resolutions passed and other legislation at the county level, both in Will County and DuPage County. As far as impact, it's been really such a short amount of time. I don't know if I can actually speak to that, and I don't have data for them or anything like that to share at this point. But you know, I know Elgin did look at this week as well. They had new legislation. So I think many municipalities are looking it over as we are. As far as what this constitutes, as far as areas in which our ordinance, as it's currently written, and really what all we have the ability to do, is city-owned spaces. So, and that does not include those spaces that we lease out. For example, the Fox Valley Park District, of course, has public spaces. They would have to pass their own through their board. However, they have asked us, because they are considering doing this as well at the Fox Valley Park District, they have asked us to include in ours the aquatic center and the adjoining lots, because they're planning to do it as well. Schools, I know I've heard kind of community chatter about schools too. East Aurora School District has already passed a resolution. I have not heard if West Aurora School District is considering it at this time. However, they may be. I'm not aware. Those are not properties, as well as the library district, are not properties we have any control over. They would have to pass through their own boards legislation to do this. However, there are buildings, for example, like the Aurora Civic Center Authority. We had a meeting with them earlier today. They're very interested, if we're doing signage, to post it if this does pass. They would like to put that on theirs as well. And although they have city property, they also have their own property, but they're planning to do similar. So there is a lot of public property that this ordinance would not cover because it is not city property. This covers any city property. However, streets are city public property, that the ones that are in the city of Aurora. We can't, they're allowed to be in our streets. We can't we can't not allow that, but we can accept when they have a warrant signed by a judge, therefore a judicial warrant. They can be allowed into our buildings, but they'd have to have a signed warrant by a judge. Now, that all being said, this, just because we have passed this ordinance doesn't mean that they won't attempt to defy it. And they could enter our buildings and do all sorts of things. As we've seen, even though East Aurora passed a resolution, they still detained a father who was dropping their son off for school just the other day. So that was what I would, at least personally, if I was interpreting that, would be in direct violation. What this does do is allow us to document, submit it to the Illinois Accountability Commission for further processing, for further litigation, for analysis if there was constitutional or due process violations. And it does add another layer of at least accountability, documentation for the future. This is, I hate to use this phrase and I apologize, unprecedented times that we're all learning together and working through together. So, so that being said, I hope that clarifies kind of what this would cover versus other public spaces.
Okay, thank you very much. And for clarification, so those city-owned properties, so those are city-owned buildings, they are city-owned parking lots. The city also owns vacant land in different places in the city. So those areas that the city directly owns.
City-owned parks, things like that.
Yes, city-owned parks, yes, okay. So for clarification, that is the areas that this proposed ordinance would cover. As the Chief of Staff stated, it would not cover public streets because they are for public use. So we couldn't prohibit any enforcement, law enforcement. We could not prohibit the state police. We could not prohibit our sheriffs. And thus we cannot prohibit federal law enforcement from being in our public streets.
And if I may, Chairman, we can also, this is specifically performing civil immigration enforcement duties. So if ICE officials were coming to pay their water bill, for example, we can allow them to do that. It's the civil immigration enforcement that is not allowed without a judicial warrant.
Okay, thank you. And just on this initial introduction from our Chief of Staff, does anyone have a clarification question? Anyone from the committee have a clarification question on this issue right now, just on our introduction?
Chairman, I have a question. Mrs. Cameron, I have a question regarding the why adopt an ordinance instead of a resolution or executive order? What is the rationale behind that?
I think that doing an ordinance versus a resolution can be up for discussion. As far as an executive order, I think it was important that this didn't feel forced upon you, but that it was in collaboration with you as the governing body.
And then my follow-up question is, are there any major differences from what was submitted from the mayor's office for us to review compared to what other communities have adopted or are adopting? Is there any major differences there? Are we missing anything?
There are differences in each one of them. We kept ours simple with the hope that it would be able to have less, get us less in the weeds and keep it pretty simple and straightforward. For example, I know I talked about signage. We didn't put specific signage in there, although I have it in my presentation because that was the plan as part of the policies. We did get from our sign shop a mock-up, so you'll see it here in the presentation, the new presentation here. And we did get an update on costs. I know Alderman, I think, was it Franco, asked that last time. It was 1,100. They had originally quoted us. They came back with 1,600. So that's how much that would be. But some of them have very detailed out even procedures. We knew that that would take involvement of many departments in our city and didn't want to put everything in there without talking to our multiple departments. Everyone is different. I have shared it, everyone we've looked at with all of you and given you, I think most of you had them for over a week, if not 2 weeks by now. So there are certainly details that are different, but we decided just to keep it simple.
One last question. So before bringing this to us, were there efforts made, or were you able to communicate and have discussion with the unions and police department on this proposed ordinance, and what was their response to it?
Yeah, there were lengthy discussions, I know, with the police department. I don't believe there were discussions with the unions that I know of. At least I didn't personally have those discussions. But we knew that police would be most impacted, and so I know our legal team sat down, had multiple conversations. They had adjustments as we presented at last RAP meeting that we were happy to add to the ordinance and had no problem with.
Okay, thank you.
For clarification, Alderman, do you mean the police unions, like the police union representative, or what unions are you referring to?
We have about 7 unions representing our employees, so I think it's important to get input from them, since they represent the majority of the employees that are going to be asked to
the overall unions
to be involved in this. Yes,
across the board. Okay, I didn't know if you were just talking police unions or.
I will say no unions have reached out to us about this. However, having concerns or questions at this time.
Okay,
Chairman.
Moving forward.
Just a brief question.
Mhm.
Shannon, how will the city evaluate the effectiveness of the ordinance after implementation?
Well, I think that we'll be documenting every instance that an employee or official or officer, if it passes as is, it depends if it changes, we would document that. We would, again, send that to the Illinois Accountability Commission. I think no one believes, as much as we may or may not wish, that this is going to stop immigration enforcement happening in our city. However, I think this is a message of solidarity with our community about what is happening, and to make sure that documentation is happening if constitutional violations are happening, especially in the property we control, which is city-owned property.
Just to follow up on that, will the city gather the residents' input after implementation?
As far as I think it being here and having public comment is gathering input. When we go to do the policies and procedures, if you'd like us to do some sort of town hall on that, or survey or something like that, we could do that with our employees and our residents.
Thank you.
Okay.
Chairman.
So, record keeping here, our Exhibit A, our legislation that has been passed or put forward, is now uploaded. If you could refresh your iPads, you will see that as Exhibit A now in your iPad. Okay, Alderwoman Bade, and as I said, please keep it to just the introduction. We're not getting into the legislation yet.
Yes, it's a question based on Alderman Barrero's question. Shannon, you mentioned that none of the unions have approached, but has city approached them? Because we are trying to mandate for the employees, so from our side, we want to make sure that they're aware and okay with it, that employees have to report any citing.
I have not, as I said to Alderman Barrero, I have not personally approached. I don't know if other people from the city have approached,
Okay.
not that I know of. However, just like all of our legislation, that a lot of it does impact employees, they're publicly aware of all of this information. No one has come to me with concerns. Usually if there is something, I will hear about it. But that doesn't mean there aren't. That's just what I know right now.
Okay.
Happy to have those discussions. And happy to involve them as we develop policies.
Okay. Is it possible to send an email to all the 7 unions leaders that we are trying to mandate it for the employees?
I will certainly, I think it depends on what happens today.
Yeah.
You know, I think it depends on what's passed. I can certainly send it to them before it hits council again.
Okay. Thank you. I'll ask the other questions later.
Okay, thank you. So in that vein, understanding we pass legislation bi-weekly that we do not ask each union their opinion on. We had the example last week of all of us are mandated to report if we receive a phishing scam through our iPad, through our email, because it could potentially take down the whole city and take over our cyber. We did not ask each individual union if they were in agreement with our cybersecurity measures. They were necessary to move forward in the city. So we do legislation every day and don't get point-by-point approval from each union. So the presentation that you have, many of us up here have seen most of it. Can you just tell me how long it is or the additions to it, or?
Yes, the only addition is this sign, and then I changed the language because we had codified in last wrap from changing it to the chief of staff to the mayor's office or designee. That's the only changes. Otherwise, it's the same presentation.
Okay. Well, if you want to briefly go through that, I guess probably focusing on the signage because that's what's new, and then we'll move forward.
Yeah, so it was just basically saying that this is what our city property is not allowed to do. So may not be used for civil immigration enforcement as a staging area, processing location, base of operations. So it's just making sure that we have it clearly noted. That way, I don't expect ICE agents to follow our council meetings, so it clearly is showing that we're putting up signage everywhere to make those aware of this change, and that they're violating this if they do that there.
Okay. So any questions on just the sign? Okay. We're going to go ahead into public comment then before we get into the rest of the legislation. Before we get into public comment, we have a number of people
Sorry.
signed up, and we thank
Excuse
you.
me, Chairman Bug. Just thought about something with this sign. So it is specific to civil immigration enforcement. So does that solely mean ICE because the National Guard could be deployed? Just wondering if this sign would be too specific or not.
I would say that the way that I would understand it is that or anyone that ICE is deputizing or asking to do civil immigration enforcement on their behalf. So it could be Department of Homeland Security, et cetera, they're deputizing even people, I believe, that are working in our prisons, things like that.
So just to clarify, sorry, Alderman Buck, but it's a civil offense, correct? It's not a criminal offense?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay. So we are going to, first I want to thank the members of the audience, everyone who has come out and taken time out of their busy schedules. We have a number of people signed up. If everyone used their full 3 minutes, we would be going over an hour. We allot 30 minutes for public comment. So as we begin, we're going to call you up 2 at a time. I want you to consider that if one of the people in front of you says a statement or kind of elaborates on a topic, and you have the exact same portion in your speech, that you maybe condense your speech. We're going to try and keep it at the 30 minutes. If not everyone is spoken after the 30 minutes, we'll entertain a motion possibly to extend for a set amount of time, okay? So if you and your person sitting next to you, if you kind of have the same thing that you think you're going to say, think about condensing it. Also, when you're called, if what you were going to say has already been said, you can let the clerk know when he calls you that you're going to pass, okay? We want to get to the actual legislation and creating the legislation and pushing it forward as soon as possible today. So we're going to call the first two people. The first person will come to this mic. The next person will come to this mic. I'll let you know when you can begin speaking, and we will go through the list. Please read the rules and for public comment, and we'll go forward.
Pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, all persons shall be permitted an opportunity to address public officials under the rules established and recorded by the council. Under our rules, any person may address the RAP committee for up to 3 minutes with a maximum of 30 minutes allotted for all public comment. No person other than the timekeeper or the chair, for the purpose of maintaining order, may interrupt a person recognized for public comment during his or her comments. Members of the RAP committee shall not engage with nor respond to a speaker during the time set aside for public comments. Staff is directed to follow up with the members of the public with respect to any concerns raised during public comments.
Thank you, clerk. Please call the first two speakers.
Our first two speakers are Jesse Olazaba and Shannon Buckley.
Okay. Okay. Jesse? Okay, thank you.
Our next two would be Nadia Kanhai and Bridget Petchkins.
You have 3 minutes. Your time begins now.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Nadia Kanhai, Ward 4. And I wanted to address you this afternoon. We elected you to lead, not stumble, although some of you were elected without competition. We are the second largest city in the state, and we have already called on federal, state, county, and city officials. It isn't just something that we're asking the city. This is a joint movement because we are under attack, and this is not an exaggeration. I understand you want to get this ordinance right. We do too, but it shouldn't be an issue to ask law enforcement to do their jobs. And I know you can't answer me, but do any of you know how long ICE or CBP have been around? Only since 2003. I mean, this is not something that we've had, since we've had immigration. So 22 years. And what's worse than ICE? Poorly trained ICE? And what's even worse than that? CBP, Customs and Border Protection, and they are on our streets. They have jurisdiction within 100 miles of any borders. We are not on a border, as you know. And, but they're here. So we just ask you, please serve and protect us. If not, please get out of the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Please call the next two speakers.
Our next two speakers would be Andrew Tripp and Jessica Valenciano.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. You can begin.
I'm going to start. There's a lot. Alderman Garza, I actually want to applaud you for sending this back to RAP, but not for the reasons that you think. The ordinance that you were about to pass earlier this week had no teeth. There was nothing in there other than a lie that this council cares. The reality is that a much stronger version should be in place. I ask this committee to put a stronger version out there that can either be voted yes or no. This way we will know who are the real cowards and who are the real accomplices. Those who use white privilege to protect themselves from fear versus those who use said privilege to protect those that are being targeted in our community. You see, this is how an occupation begins. And I want to remind every one of you up here, those that want to have an executive order instead of standing strong, that when the Germans were ousted out of Paris, it was not forgotten who helped them in Paris. We need an ordinance that can make a difference. And I'd like to share some interesting information that has been recently reported on that the public is unaware of. There are people in the APD, possibly on city council, who are withholding the truth from all of you. Last month, the FBI sent out a memo, a bulletin that was not for public, but it was for their internal purposes. And it was prepared by the Office of Partner Engagement. And I'll enlighten you on what it said. Criminals are posing as ICE and U.S. immigration to carry out crimes including robberies, kidnappings, and sexual assaults. In addition, it stated that federal rules require immigration officers identify themselves, state the reason for an arrest as soon as practical and safe to do so. That standard has not changed since it was codified in the 90s. And if APD is present, there certainly qualifies as a safe situation to require identification. This bulletin alone should have obligated the APD to ensure officers force federal agents to identify themselves. Due to APD's failure, it is obvious that the City Council must write the procedure and must do so without fear of the APD. Everyday citizens are putting themselves at risk for the daily doings of what the APD is getting paid for. In addition, the council should put forth an ordinance that officers must cite agents if they are using city property, including sidewalks, to conduct tasks without proper warrants. As a home rule city, knowing that FBI has made it clear expectations of ICE, a $2,500 citation for each incident for civil misconduct is a good place to start. Not having citations is ludicrous. Failure to identify under suspicion of a crime is something that people can be detained for and possibly cited for because last I checked, abducting humans is a crime. Let the courts decide. I highly doubt a grand jury will bring charges against the officer of the law for requiring identification in the process of an abduction. There are a lot of scared people in our community, and there are a lot of brave ones. The cowards are those that are afraid of being scared, and those that show no empathy, and at most, they are most afraid of doing what is morally correct. That's it.
Thank you. Ma'am, you can begin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica. I don't live in Aurora anymore, but I was born and raised here. I walk the halls of Beaupre Elementary, Simmons Middle School, and East Aurora High School, all places where children should feel safe. But today, families are living in fear. Children are afraid to go to school, and parents are afraid to leave their homes. Entire neighborhoods are being terrorized. I drove nearly an hour to be here today because Aurora is where my heart is. I'm speaking directly to Alderwoman Garza and the rest of the women who delayed the vote. Alderwoman Garza, you said it was too messy and that you needed more time. Messy, lives are being torn apart while we wait. Fear grows while action is delayed. Leadership does not shy away from messy problems, it faces them head on. Alderwoman Patty White, even though you're not here today, you have said you are a white woman and do not have to look over your shoulder the way others in this city do. That is privilege, that is power. Use it, stand up and speak out, and protect those who do not have the luxury of comfort. Your safety shall not come at the cost of our children's lives. And let's talk about accountability. The issue isn't that Officer Ellis shook hands with the ICE agent. You can play that off by saying that he was being professional. The issue is trust. We're supposed to trust our police officers. Not only was he seen shaking that agent's hand, but when I asked if the agents were supposed to identify themselves, he said, "I don't know the protocol. I don't work for ICE." And when we drove back around, I saw him sitting in his car, and I know he saw me too. Can you guess what he did? He laughed. He sat there laughing while our community was in pain. That is not professionalism. That is not accountability. APD needs to be held accountable. Families of Aurora do not have time for hesitation. They do not have time for excuses, and neither does this city. By delaying this ordinance, you made a choice that says some family safety and some children's peace of mind are not a priority. Alderwoman Garza White and Bade, you are faces and voices familiar to this community. You have the power to act. You have the responsibility to act. Complexity and messiness are not an excuse. You were elected to lead, not to linger in comfort. Courage demands action, even if it's messy. Today, you have the chance to act. Vote to pass this ordinance. Stand with the families, stand with the children, stand for the safety, dignity, and future of our city. You shall act, you shall stand, and you shall protect this community.
Thank you. Please call the next two speakers.
The next two speakers would be Denise Keough and Raymond Hall.
Good afternoon. You have 3 minutes. You can begin now.
Good afternoon. My name is Denise Keough Meneses. My family is from Venezuela. My children were born there. I am a 33-year, I'm on permanent vacation from East Aurora School District 131. I am so proud of that Beaupre girl because that was my school. How about it? I speak Spanish. I am in constant contact with the families and my students. They're in the Army, they're teachers, they're lawyers. One works over at the Board of Trade. I am so proud. They're all Hispanic. And I'd like you to hear from them. This is not my student, but it is a student that was in, and I'm going to have a recording of him, from Oregon this week. I want you to hear this child, and I'd like you to hear him, because none of us can speak like these children can. Please listen. One moment, please.
I just want to tell you guys that I'm scared for my parents to walk out their house because I might not be able to say goodbye to them if they go to work. I might not ever be able to say bye or see them again if you guys don't side with us. And I'm scared because of it, because they fought so hard to come here and choose a life for their kids. And I really hope you guys do hear what everyone in this room has been saying, and I hope you guys do side with us, because we are fighting for our rights, and we are getting treated like animals because people judge us by the color of our skin and the way that we talk. And we have a president that acts like a child and doesn't side with us because of the way he thinks about us. And we have a police department that doesn't do anything about us, and that we are here fighting more than they are. So I hope that you guys actually do hear what everyone in this center is hearing or talking about, so you guys can side with us and listen to what everyone's saying, because everyone is scared. I'm scared that I'm never going to be able to see all my friends again. I'm scared that their parents are going to be gone one day. I'm scared that all of us are going to have to fend for ourselves. I'm scared that one day at school that I'm going to get held by people that I don't know, people that are covered, people that I can't identify because they wear masks and they don't properly ID themselves. I'm scared that everyone that I love I'm not going to be able to see them again, because even though that they're U.S. citizens, they don't care about us. They treat us like dogs, they treat us like animals. No one here cares about us because of the color of our skin. So I'm asking you guys, every single one of you guys that are sitting up here, to actually hear us and do something about it, because I'm tired of it.
Thank you, ma'am. Your 3 minutes is up.
Telling my mom and dad every day after school that
Thank you.
Utter indignation. I need change, please, and
Thank
I'd
you.
like it fast.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Mr. Hall, your 3 minutes begins now.
I wanted to speak to the council concerning the language from last week. I think all of the aldermen, that when the discussion was going on, that Alderman Smith brought up about shall and should and can, I agree that for you to, the Chief of Staff said that they didn't want to feel like it was mandating things. But when you use the word shall as a former president of 1514, you are telling them that they have to. I don't believe that it's appropriate to bring all of the city staff into this. First of all, you're making an assumption that all of the city workers are all on the same page. Trust me, I worked here 36 years. I was told one time the only reason I got promoted was because I was black. So don't you think for 1 minute that half of the city staff may agree with what's going on in the city. And so to bring them into that language should have a possibility. You may have two guys in a truck. One guy sees something, wants to stop. The other one doesn't. What happens? Nobody's talking about discipline. Absolutely, the unions need to be spoken to. You cannot, they have job descriptions, they have a collective bargaining agreement that they have, and you cannot just change things in the middle because it feels good. It is, I'm sorry, Alderman Bug, but it's not the same as the computer policy or the spamming or things of that nature. That's a total different thing. And so what I'm saying to you is, I'm also asking, will the city indemnify these employees if something happens? What happens if a guy sees something and he decides to stop a dump truck at an intersection and he doesn't realize that he blocks a stop sign? Somebody comes through, don't know what's going on, there's an accident. Who's at fault? What happens if he gets involved and the ICE agents decide to do something to him? So all I'm saying to you is, you need to change that language so that people have the ability to get involved. One last thing. In the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, when the gang activity was really heavy, the police department came to the public works employees and said, hey, you guys have people on the street around the clock, and we don't have enough eyes to see all of the activity. We would love to have you guys help us. And they started what they call Fleet Watch. They asked us, if you see something, just report it to us. And the guys were willing to do that. I know for a fact that a person with a murder warrant was taken off the street because one of the public works employees reported a shooting on East New York Street by the old Cornac Olds out by Long Island Sound or whatever it's called now. And I'm just saying to you, you do need to communicate with the unions. They do have something to say about what's going on. And you cannot just force that upon them. There will be division amongst the employees. Trust me. Just like on this council up here, I noticed the other night that many of the...
Thank you, Mr. Hull.
Thank you, sir.
Please call the next two speakers.
The next two speakers are Daniel Corral and Ruben Morales.
Sir, your time begins now.
Thank you for everybody coming here today, and all of the community present, and all of the community protectors and defenders for all you do. My name is Daniel Corral, and I'm a resident of Ward 9 and a lifelong resident of Aurora. Immigrants in the United States often live in an oppressive reality. Throughout history, they have been treated as invisible except when needed to work for little pay, benefits, or protections. And in our government, they continue to be reacted against as dangerous others who are depleting our jobs, resources, and who are endangering our identity, security, and cohesion as a nation. They're often the scapegoats for everything that is wrong and not working. We're currently witnessing, as in many instances in history, the terrorizing police policies our government creates to kidnap immigrants and forcefully remove them. The reason many people immigrate and our responsibility as a nation is often ignored in the government and media's discourse, especially in the last century, since the U.S. has often sought foreign economic investment at the expense of peoples and land, and then brutally protected these investments with its military. Thousands of people have been displaced and murdered and forced to migrate. The rape and torture and robbery and starvation and murder that they go through while migrate is also ignored. Can national laws ultimately prevent immigration when pervasive materialism, militarism, and racism is forcing millions of humans into migration? Due to this government's discourse, many have also believed that in order to be treated with full dignity and rights as a human being, a person has to be a citizen. The rights of citizens are able to be enjoyed are actually human rights, not privileges of citizenship. And the reason for resisting this temptation to trade immigrant rights for citizens' security is that's morally wrong and constitutionally wrong. It is important that we, especially second and third generation immigrants, realize that the same oppressive structures that are denying others their rights will also almost inevitably be denied to citizens later. We only have to be witnesses of the Black and Native American experience to know this is true. As immigrants sought to be treated as human beings and as Americans, many have been affected by the ideological domination of assimilation, which pressures people to internalize dual opposing realities of civilization and barbarism, development and underdevelopment. But we know that this process of racist assimilation is a lie, and that the barbarism and uncivilized behavior we see today is a reign of terror by ICE agents, not dual language programs or welcome sanctuary cities. We walk with and stand with our undocumented neighbors every day, hear their stories and see their wounds, and understand them not as others, but as human beings just like us. They're our families and friends. We know that everything about ICE is unlawful and immoral, and everything they do is disorder and destructive. I believe the question is not between choosing to help our immigrant brothers and sisters or not, but choosing between solidarity and life, or dismemberment and death, of recognizing our humanity and fraternity, or continuing to engage in fratricide in a fractured society.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Your 3 minutes is up. Good afternoon. Your 3 minutes begins now.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aruba Morales, and I'm here representing the community patrollers, residents who have taken it upon ourselves to organize, communicate, and protect one another when fear moves through our neighborhoods. This ordinance represents something deeper than policy. It represents the city finally acknowledging that the people of Aurora are not powerless. We are capable, we are organized, and we are already operating with structure. We have a headquarters, our own dispatch system, constant regrouping, and updates from the field. But let's be honest, APD can and should be doing more. Our community has made it clear we need our police department to step up, not stand back. We've proven that when the community mobilizes with purpose, things happen. Just a few days ago, ICE was seen watching Simmons School. Families were scared. Our patrollers went out, verified it was indeed ICE, and made sure families were contacted and consulates were informed so that individual did not disappear in the system. A few moments later, one of our patrollers was cornered by ICE, who demanded her ID. She said, "No, I'll give it to a police officer." ICE even contacted APD, and when APD refused to help them, ICE got frustrated and left. That's exactly what cooperation should look like, a clear line between local safety and federal intimidation. But imagine how much stronger that moment could have been if APD had joined the effort, not as enforcers, but as protectors, standing with residents, ensuring families feel safe to walk their children to school. That's the next step we need. This ordinance gives APD protection too. It shields them from lawsuits, from confusion about federal overreach, and from damaging community trust. It lets them focus on real community policing, working with the people instead of working around them. Aurora is already leading, but leadership takes courage. This ordinance is a step forward, but what comes next is the real test. Can we get APD to truly partner with the community, to see us not as separate efforts, but as one movement towards safety and trust? We're not waiting for change, we're building it. Now it's time for APD to match the same energy. Thank you.
Thank you. Please call the next speaker.
Erica Smith and Tabitha Castellon.
Who is first?
Erica.
Erica?
Oh, this is Erica.
Erica, okay.
So first.
Good afternoon. Your 3 minutes begins now.
Good afternoon to all of you. My name is Erica. I immigrated to the U.S. in 1999. I have been working with survivors of domestic violence for 18 years, sexual assault and human trafficking. 90% of our clients regarding the status are afraid and feel not safe to go to schools and government buildings to the concern of racial profile, immigration enforcement, and appearance. I have been living in Aurora for 5 years, and I have been serving the community for 18 years. It is important to pass this ordinance that might not resolve all the issues, but it will bring some peace of mind to everyone, especially our survivors. I really think that the government is here to protect us and to protect us for the good reasons.
Sometimes we forget the reason why the citizens vote for your positions as elected, because as a citizens, we're always looking for good change, and we're here, everyone, for the good reasons. And I feel that each of us are here because we have a story to tell and a change in our mind. I think that it's very important to leave the ego on the side most of the times and look this proposal too as a humanity. If this law or this movement that Trump has in this moment would be back in 2008, I would not be able to found an agency. I would not be able to create jobs for people, and I would not be able to help a lot of clients in 18 years to be safe and to be out of violence. I think it's so important for all the community that we can be able to account with someone that can protect us, because we're looking for protection. That's why we're here. I think it's crucial for law enforcement. I know and I understand the law enforcement cannot interfere with immigration because that's the law, but definitely they can be identifying people, because I have experience as a human trafficker doing services for survivors, and I know that this is a great opportunity too for beings to be having a costume like law enforcement and then just go and then pick up anybody. And I don't have no data right now, but I think it's important. I'm not saying the law enforcement should be interfere, but definitely law enforcement should be keep a data of who is and identifying if it is immigration or not. I don't think immigration will have any problem of law enforcement asking for the badge or the name, right? And then they can do their job. But I think it's very important to be documenting all this. I know that, I don't know her name, but she was saying that this ordinance is not gonna help probably to any kind of criminal activities, but definitely civil, because I know by the end of this term of this president, I know that a lot of issues are gonna come.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
3
you.
minutes is up. Before I have you begin, we have approximately 8 minutes left of public comment. And how many people do we have left?
6.
6. Okay. And 6 people. So if we're able to condense our speeches a little bit, that would be excellent. Your 3 minutes begins now.
Good morning. My name is Tabitha Castellan, and I'm a resident here in Aurora. I'm here today to speak in support of the ICE-free zone ordinance. And lately, I've been seeing fear grow in our communities, not fear of crime, but fear of the people who are supposed to protect us. I watched an ICE abduction right in front of me, and I will never forget the fear in that moment. The feeling that you should do something to stop this, but you can't. All you can do is record what's happening, bear witness to their pain, and pray for justice. And this fear, it doesn't stop with just us. It lives in the lives of our children too. My kids worry that their father won't come home because of the color of his skin. That one day, the world they know will change drastically, and they won't understand why. Right now, the burden of protection is on citizens. The work of holding the line in our community is on our neighbors. They're forming watch groups, it's parents raising money for legal aid, and volunteers running pop-up food pantries. Why should the most vulnerable among us carry the weight of defending themselves when the power and the responsibility belongs to this city and to its leaders? If not now, then when? And if not you, then who? I'm looking at you, Señorita Garza. Your responsibility to your community. You have a responsibility to represent us. And I'm very disappointed that my alderwoman, Patty Smith, couldn't be bothered to be here today. That's her duty. And so I'm asking you, what would you do si fue tu hijo, tu pariente, tu esposo? What would you do? What technicalities would you want to play with? What typos would you want to banter over? This isn't just a piece of document that we're voting on today, that you're voting on today. This is people's lives that are at risk here. You represent us. We put our trust in you. We put our votes in you. So act like it. Every day this ordinance is delayed, another family is torn apart, another parent taken, another child left behind. Aurora deserves leaders who remember what freedom feels like. Leaders who understand that real courage is putting people before politics. So let's choose courage. Let's choose community. Let's choose each other. Pass this ordinance. Protect our people. Show our children that Aurora's heart is stronger than its fear.
Thank you, ma'am. Your 3
Thank
minutes
you.
up. Please call the next 2 speakers.
Anonymous Aurora resident and Grizel Albar.
Hello.
Hi.
Your time begins now.
I want all of you to please consider doing the right thing. That is why people have voted for each and every one of you. Many of you have been championing citizens of Aurora and protecting them. Some have not. Ms. Garza, you have failed your people. I would have expected more from you with your heritage, and you have failed them miserably. I only hope that people in our community will find the wherewithal to find a suitable replacement for you when your term is up. Feel free to leave at any time and make an opening, because you're not doing your part. You have been in this position to be able to protect the members of this community instead of being a hurdle in their protection and in their progress. It is shameful for people to have to complain about the word shall when it has some teeth to it and gives us the opportunity to protect people in our community. We have and must do more. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Your time begins now.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Grizel. I work with the immigrant and refugee community here in Aurora, especially with our children and youth. What breaks my heart the most is seeing how afraid our children are. Kids will cry and tell me that they're scared to walk home after school because they think ICE will kidnap them or they will follow them home to get their parents. I do everything I can. I drive them, I check in on them, but I cannot protect every child in Aurora who feels this way. No child should grow up in fear that the city that's supposed to protect them isn't doing so. Alderman Garza, you represent over 24,000 residents. 84% of them are Mexican. You know our community and our struggles. That comes with responsibility to protect the people who trust you to lead. This ordinance is a chance to give our community peace of mind, to make sure that if ICE uses city property or acts illegally, it's reported and recorded. The language really does matter. It must say shall, not may. Accountability should not be optional. It's a promise that Aurora stands with its people and upholds the Trust Act. I can keep helping, but for true safety depends on leadership willing to act. Aurora comes first, not ICE. No se te olvide de dónde vienes, cómo llegaste y por quién estás en esta posición. Remember your roots, your responsibility to this community. Thank you.
Please call the next speaker.
The next speaker is Ram Esposito.
Please call the next speaker.
Yaslin Escalano. Lana.
Your time begins now.
Good afternoon. My name is Jocelyn Escalona. I currently reside in Ward Number 1, but that should not even matter. Juani Garza, this goes directly for you and the other women who should understand that it is our responsibility to at least have a sheet of protection for our community. As many of the members have said, you guys are in your positions because of us, because of the people of Aurora. So stand up, protect us, protect the children. Señora Garza, como le dijo la otra muchacha, si fuera su familia, si usted no tuviera documentos, usted estuviera aquí con nosotros, detrás de nosotros. No, errores gramáticos. Who cares? Who cares? But you do. That smirk on your face, the way you look at the other representatives. Come on now. It's privilege, and you should use that privilege to stand up for our community and our people. That's a shame. And it's a shame that you're so quick to use community events como regalando mochilas. And yeah, right. Oh, Juani Garza is giving away stuff for the community. Well, be here for your community right now. Protect us. Thank you.
Thank you. Shame on you. Please call the next speaker.
Beatriz Moctezuma.
Either one. It's fine.
I am here today to use my voice for those who can't. I, just like the rest of us, are a voice for all those scared and for all those currently facing trauma due to these ICE raids, and especially for those that have gotten detained unjustly. I am not here to point out the obvious because just like I see everything that's happening unfairly, should I add, you do too. No one has the privilege to say that they don't know what is happening out there because it's all over social media. It is not AI, it's real humans, witnesses. Now, if you ignore it, you are the problem. What I recognize as bounty hunters, you may recognize them as ICE agents. You see the violence and the force being used, not on criminals, but actual hardworking people and citizens. No one is safe from this. This is not a war on criminals, this is a war on humanity. Shall I remind every single one of you that we all bleed the same. The position you hold now does not make you unreachable or untouchable. It does not mean you are better than those below you. Hardworking human beings are being kidnapped and ripped apart from their families only because of the color of their skin and or their appearance. And some of you have the audacity to point out that it is not of your concern because it doesn't affect you directly. Well, I hate to burst your bubble. You may be safe now, but nothing guarantees that you will be able to say that tomorrow, weeks, or even months from now. Everything that our community is being put through is inhumane. Have a heart. While all of you get to go home to a warm meal, a safe home, others go to an empty home and have to figure out how to help their parents. Others are being left to question where their parents are, and most are left with trauma from witnessing their arrest. What a privilege not to have to worry about any of this. What a privilege it is to say that you don't have to worry because you are not a target. What a privilege to be able to have your family a whole. Also, on the last meeting, the chief from the Aurora Police Department had the audacity to stand here and say a whole bunch of nothing, but making some believe that they are actually keeping our community safe. Well, I demand answers for our community on why this morning an officer seemed to be helping a bounty hunter. Why did both officer and the bounty hunter had to hide at the dead end? This is wrong. This is corrupt. Do the right thing. You know exactly what that is. God sees it all. You may be up now, but you could be down tomorrow. Don't mistake people's kindness for a weakness. Do your job, the one that you promisely said you would. Thank you.
Thank you. There is one speaker left. We have hit our limit on time. I'm going to entertain a motion to suspend the rules and extend public comment for 3 minutes. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it 5-0. We're going to extend public comment for 3 minutes. Clerk, please call the last speaker.
Karina Garcia.
Good afternoon, Ms. Garcia. You can
Good
begin
afternoon. Good evening. My name is Karina Garcia. I'm the president for the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And today we continue to discuss on the ordinance restricted the use of City Aurora property for civil immigration enforcement activities. This ordinance is critical, not just for one group, but for the whole city. I've heard someone say this is only applied to city properties and that ICE will still be in Aurora. While true, the ordinance is about what kind of city we choose to be. Our Hispanic workforce, the people who build our homes, clean our offices, and help small businesses run, are being detained while working side jobs. This breaks families and directly impacts our local economy. Hispanic-owned business owners contribute millions in taxes to our revenue. They fund our schools, our police department, our fire department, and city services. When our community lives in fear, businesses in Aurora suffers. I've been part of this community for over 20 years, and I can't recall seeing elected officials so indifferent to this issue. I was expecting more from all of you. I would have expected you to come up with solutions to protect our residents. Your residents, because you represent, not waiting on this community to come forward and ask you for help. I saw Alderwoman Bates and Alderwoman Garza when it was suggested that the city employees should not be documenting in activities. Let me remind you, they are paid by our tax money. They should be concerned residents. Maybe they should work somewhere else if they're not concerned about our residents. Alderman Garza, I acknowledge the work you've done for the Latino community, but this was a moment when we hoped that you were the first one to act. Your leadership matters and your voice can be a difference. And I say this as a female because we always want to make sure that women are thriving. This ordinance may seem small, but to thousands of residents and business owners, it means dignity, safety, and trust. Precedent shows that Aurora will not stand silent while families are torn apart and small businesses are hurt. I urge you to show compassion, act with courage, and prioritize the well-being of our residents. You were elected to serve. Let's make Aurora a city that protects all of your residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That will conclude public comment. I want to thank the residents for coming out today and voicing their views. You are part of the process, and again, we thank you for coming. We're going to get right into the legislation and the legislation text. All the members should have the text in Exhibit A or a hard copy. We codified the amendment from Alderman Seville, and that is where we stand to begin. From our last council meeting, we had a motion to send this back to RAP, and thus we are here today. And by rule, we will have the alderperson who sent this back, we will have her speak first, and we will go from there. So,
Alderman Bug, Deb Lang for the Law Department. I believe there was some confusion at the end of, I believe it was City Council. I'm not sure Alderman Seville's motion actually passed because there was a motion to table. So Part B that you have online right now, I don't know was actually adopted or passed. The version you have in front of you with the green is what my understanding of what passed and was sent back down to RAP. So I'm going to have another version printed that will be a pinkish purple that would include Seville's amendment.
okay. So green is our standing document.
Correct.
Okay, excellent. All right. Just need a starting point. All right, great. We'll turn it over to Alderwoman Garza. You have the floor.
Thank you.
Ma'am.
Well, thank you for being here and express your opinions and your sentiment. Because obviously, we're still discussing this as the reason we returned to RAP, because finally we don't have the right decision yet because we're still changing the words. And maybe they didn't mean nothing for you guys, the words, but in the time to enforce the ordinance, the words they be in this paper is very important. So that's why we have to fix this situation. Is what I'm saying. For the first time, we want to do this in the city of Aurora, we have to do it right. We don't want to in the future say, oh, this is not explained, and this word says this or say that. Even us, we are still not in everybody in the same. Why? Because Mike will say one thing, the other alderman say another thing, Kid Larson say another thing, and I'm saying another thing. So we're still working in this, and I'm 100% understand the situation with the immigrants. Absolutely, I'm Mexican. Yo lo siento también, pero así como respeté cuando ustedes hablaron, también respétenme. So my only express when I say Alderman Bag is to be more clear with this ordinance, like I would say, not bit confusing when some people saying they are in the street. So they feel the city of Aurora, the whole city of Aurora, they want to be covered by this ordinance. It's not. It's only the city buildings, the city parking lots, it's only few. It's in downtown, the majority. Okay, the transportation center, it's a parking lot for the city. But Walmart parking lot, Home Depot parking lot, they now belong to the city, even as the city of Aurora. So there is a confusion. Some people confusing with that. So the majority ICE arrested are in Walmart parking lot or Home Depot parking lot. So even when we have this ordinance, I want to understand is not protecting that.
Have you been at the arrest? Have you followed up with families?
Ma'am?
Excuse me. Okay? So my only suggestion is to be more clear with that, and I want to read what is my proposal, okay? City department and agencies shall ensure that all such properties have clear signage starting this property is owned and controlled by the city of Aurora. It may not be used for civil immigration enforcement, including use as staging areas, processing locations, or operations based pursuant to Chapter 40 of the Aurora Code. Where available and appropriate, city departments may utilize physical barriers such as locked gates or limit access to the city-owned controlled parking lots, vacant lots, garage, or other properties consistent with the chapter of is in conjunction with the proper signage. So they mean we have to follow what we need to do in our parking lots. If we have to put it locking, we have to lock it. If we want to put some barricades, we can put barricades, but only in the city property lots. And that's my suggestion.
Council?
Yes.
Alderman Bug, in Garza's amendment that has been typed out with the yellow on the top marked as such, that did include Seville's addition, which is red line with B.
B.
Again, that was not passed before, but I wanted to outline that has been included in this, just for your discussion.
Thank you. Okay. So just for our purposes in considering, Alderwoman Garza, would you also like B to be a part of your proposal? The Aurora, I'll read that. The Aurora Police Department shall adopt procedures to document violations of this chapter when sworn officers on duty observe such violations.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that is a proposal to the committee. For those out there, we have a standing committee of 5 people. The other aldermen can just be a part of our discussion. Alderwoman Garza was the one who sent us back here, so she is the presenter on that point. But that motion would need to be taken up by a member of the committee. We would need to entertain that motion and consider it. So directly a member of the council not on the committee cannot make a motion on their own, just for,
I make
Sure.
a motion.
I'll second.
okay. So Alderman Bate has entertained that motion. Alderman Barrero has seconded it. Discussion on the entertained motion.
Chairman Bug?
Alderman Barrero.
Yes, the discussion that we had on Tuesday was a result of us getting the original document at the REP committee, and then we made some amendments to it. There was some things proposed that didn't make it, and 2 items that did make it and got on there. So I was in full support of it. Then there was a motion made by Alderman Larson, which was amended and amended again. And finally, we had the Seville amendment. And so the Seville amendment is included here in the Garza amendment as item B under section 40-3 under documentation. So with the Seville amendments, I was ready to vote yes for this ordinance on Tuesday. So it's back here with the Seville amendment, and with the Garza amendment, it adds further information as to what can be done with respect to signage. So I think it makes sense to add this additional language. So I'm in support of this amendment.
Okay. Any other comments from the committee?
Can I make?
Alderwoman Bay.
There is section A also in this amendment. Just for the record, should I read it or in the signage? The document that was given to us today. So Alderwoman Garza has A, B, and C. So she read B and C, and would you like her to read A also?
She didn't read section
Okay,
A?
because there are so many documents here, so.
Okay, no, I'll read it into the record if it
Okay.
wasn't read in.
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza, you meant to include all 3 sections, A, B, and C?
Yes.
Okay. Section A of that was city departments and agencies shall collaborate to identify city-owned and controlled parking lots, vacant lots, garages, and other city-owned property that could be used as a staging area, processing location, operations base, or other support for civil immigration enforcement. So that is part A, and we read into the record part B and C. So thank you for that point, Alderwoman Bay. Any other discussion on this amendment?
Chairman Bug.
Alderman White.
So with section C regarding using physical barriers and locked gates to limit access to city-owned and controlled parking lots and vacant lots and garages, I question how practical that is. I like the idea. However, I think about Park Near Me. You can easily lock it, so now it can't be used by immigration enforcement, but then also no one else can use it. So I'm wondering how we would implement this without also, implement this as well as allow residents to continue utilizing the space as well.
Okay, I appreciate that. I think reading it in whole, where available and appropriate, city departments may utilize physical barriers. So our building team will assess that. They do an excellent job, and we'll put this forward in the best practical way, not only for the residents so they can still have their services met, but also have the spirit of this ordinance in effect.
Shannon Cameron, Chief of Staff. I would say that most likely would not happen except in locations like Public Works, where you already have to key in to get to the city employee-only portion of that lot that already has the gate. But, you know, we have to keep our open public lots open to the public. So I think it would most likely just be those that only have employee gated off areas like the police department, et cetera, at this point.
Okay. Is that good, Alderman White? Okay.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
All right, all right. Okay, any other comments on this amendment that has been entertained? Okay. I have one comment on it. On Alderman Seville's portion, actually on both portions, stating that the Aurora Police Department shall adopt procedures to document violations of this chapter. Understanding that the police department already has procedures, I mean, this is kind of more of a clarification. The police department has set forms that they fill out. They have a, like when you're in an auto accident, that's what most of us are familiar with. There's a auto or a traffic accident report form that the police fill out. They also have police incident report forms that they fill out, and that is their standard operating procedure. All the officers, of course, went to the academy. They know how to fill those out. They know what information is requested in them, and as officers, they fill out those almost every day, if they're on patrol or that is their task. So, Alderman Seville's amendment, while I will not strike it or change it, it's just good for us to know that the police officers, with this amendment, will already, they already know the process to document a situation. So this just adds a little bit more. On the signage, again, I appreciate our chief of staff giving us an actual sign for us to look at, and I think it's in line with what Alderwoman Garza proposes, the type of information that will be on a fence, on a building, on a vacant lot, clearly will show, that this is a city building, a city-owned property, and that those types of civil enforcement actions are prohibited in this area. So I believe, thank you, Alderwoman Garza, for this amendment and for this language. If we have no further discussion on this, I'm going to go ahead and entertain a motion to approve.
I think I already did.
She made a motion, I second.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and call the vote then. We're going to do a roll call vote. Clerk, please go ahead and call the roll.
Chairperson Edward J. Bug.
Yes.
Vice Chair Daniel Barrero.
Yes.
Alderman Javier Benuelos.
Yes.
Alderwoman Shweta Bade.
Yes.
Alderman at Large Will White.
Yes.
5 yeses, 0 nos.
Thank you. Okay, so we have the first amendment to our legislation text. Is there any further discussion or amendment either from the committee or from the rest of our colleagues? Alderman?
I had a question.
Mm-hmm.
So this question is for Deb. When Shannon was giving the presentation, she mentioned further, IAC will be looking into litigation further down the road, but they're collecting the we are collecting the information and sending to them. So this question is for that. Since all the records will be submitted to Illinois Accountability Commission, once it goes to litigation, will the reporting employee have to appear as a witness to testify at any point of time? We need to know that.
I can't speak to which court this would be going to. I can tell you what I have experienced when prosecuting in criminal cases, which I'm not sure this would go to that route or if it would be a civil proceeding. But we could call anybody on those reports that either had written or were in there as a witness, or other people through further discovery that may be involved in the incident. So I can't say for certain, but there is a possibility.
So I think Alderman Benuelos had asked a question at last wrap. What are we doing for the employees in that situation? Can we please clarify?
I'm not, I don't know if
Shannon Cameron, Chief of Staff. Our employees have to testify when
I'm
there's
not talking
lawsuits
about
or
police.
court cases and things like that all the time for different reasons, whether it's, say, it's an employee has a lawsuit, other employees have to testify or are called for deposition and have to provide their testimony. So I would assume it would be similar situation that we deal with that.
I understand for the police department, but since we are making it mandate for everybody in the city, just want to make sure employees are also aware that they may need to testify if
I can say on our risk, if we have employees that are, for example, property standards driving around the city and they unfortunately rear end somebody else driving, they will be called in. Sometimes there are police reports filed. Sometimes that ends up in litigation. They may be called for depositions. They may be called to testify if there's a trial, other type of proceedings. Their information's out there. I know for protection of the employee and sending anything out, we do use the City of Aurora's address. So their home address isn't being sent out, and we have the other parties contact us in the law department to essentially represent them. That's what we've done currently on cases with employees.
Okay. And in the presentation, the employees are supposed to notify or contact direct supervisor. Maybe this question is for Ms. Cameron. She's here. Okay. And for documentation, they're supposed to give date and time, location, type of property, activity observed, vehicles, personnel, duration, your contact information, name, title, contact number. So sometimes if people are just driving, what is expected out of them? They should stop and note all these things, or they just drive to work and complete their work and notify the supervisor? Just want to clarify this because it's in the document.
Shannon Cameron, Chief of Staff. We realize not in every circumstance will they be able to capture all that information depending on the circumstance. It could be they see a situation leaving as they go and they can only report, they can't quite make out the make or model of a car or the license plate number or something like that. So it's as much information as they're able to provide within that circumstance. And as far as if they're driving and it is not a safety issue to pull into a parking spot and report, I think that would be great. If it is a police officer going to an emergency that they're at a call, we would not expect them to stop what they're doing and report that in that moment. You know, we trust our employees to be professionals and make their best judgment in that moment. You know, but I think that it could be, if they're on their way, they can report it later. If it's something if they can, many of our employees are issued work cell phones. So once they get to their location, they could call their supervisor, let them know, things like that.
Okay. And I also wanted to thank everyone for coming here, and just be aware that we are all in support of this, and we were going to vote in favor of it, most of us, on Tuesday. So this is not forgotten, and we are really serious about it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been here. But last minute, there were so many changes brought, and as Alderwoman Garza mentioned, we need to make sure that we are capturing as much as possible and as clearly as possible for future. So the only reason it came to City Council for voting was because it was approved at all the stages. So there is no reason to think that we are not in support, but there are certain steps we have to follow, and we have to protect everyone, every citizen of our city, and every person who works for the city. So I wanted to add one language which is in the presentation. There are some words in the presentation, but they are not in the ordinance. So can I add, make an amendment?
Certainly. Do you have the language
Yes.
written out?
Yes. So in the presentation,
Is it written out? You have copies for each member?
no.
Okay.
There are just few words.
Okay.
It's from the presentation. So I'm going to read out.
Page and line number.
Yes. 1 second. I'm going to read out from the green document. Just 1 second. Sorry, just give me a second. I want to make sure it's there. Okay. It's section 40-3, documentation. Any employee.
Page and line number, please.
Page 2 and line number 5.
Thank you.
So any city employee, official, officer, or agent who observes the attempted or actual use of city-owned and controlled parking lot, vacant lot, garage, or other property as staging area, processing location, operations base, or other support of civil immigration enforcement in violation of this chapter shall, and these are the words that, sorry, there's so many documents handed at the last minute.
If I
have
may
it ready.
interrupt, Alderwoman Bade, would you be able to operate off of the yellow document marked Alderwoman Garza's
Okay.
draft? Because I think that has the most up-to-date language.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just let me just second here, and I will. This is civil, and this is Garza. Page 2. Yes. Page 2, line 9.
Yeah, 9, yeah, because she's saying this one.
After shall, so we are keeping shall, but we are adding the language that is in the presentation, so we are consistent. I want to make a motion to copy the message from the presentation. After shall, without endangering themselves or others, and unless they are fearful of their own safety, immediately report to their supervisors, who shall immediately report to the mayor's office or his, her, their designee, and rest of the lines are same. I can repeat it or I can write it down.
No.
So line number 9, and after the word shall, without endangering themselves or others, And unless they are fearful of their safety, immediately report. So immediately is already there, but just in between.
If I may have a second, I will see if communications can get my screen with the changes up so everyone's on the same page
Okay.
and can visualize it.
I've made a motion.
Okay.
And this is consistent with the presentation that was given to us.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and second on this amendment.
I have a question regarding your wording on that one. So you're saying unless they feel for their safety, or, so are we going to judge their feelings on that one? So so I guess I'm trying to figure out what you're trying to say on that one. So if the employee feels they're unsafe, or they feel fear, they're fearsome of reporting this, are you saying that they not report it?
It is already there in the presentation that.
What
they
slide
can't-
on the
they
presentation
don't-
are you
sorry,
pulling it from?
They don't endanger themselves.
Right, I get that
and-
part, the endangerment part, but you're also
And
saying
others.
if they fear, or so unless,
Yeah.
if they feel fear,
Yeah.
then they don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got it?
If I may, Chairman, to reference to what Alderman Bay just put in this, one thing we do have there in the document that was an example of my presentation that we would give to employees. It also says calling 911 or going to tell their supervisor right away. So, that's something that was in the document as well.
We can add that also, Chairman.
Okay. Deb, is everything up?
Yes, the amendment, as Alderwoman Bade had stated, is on line 9 and 10 on your screen in blue.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to begin at the comment, or other support for civilian immigration enforcement in violation of this chapter shall, without endangering themselves or others, and unless they are fearful for their safety, immediately report to their supervisor, who shall immediately report to the mayor's office. Okay. Unfortunately, I went to law school. There's two ways to read this. The fear in the moment or the fear of reporting. Okay? So why don't you talk about your intent of this? Are you talking about their fear in the moment, and then they still report at a later time? Because it says you report immediately. Or why don't you talk about your intent, and then we'll try and construct the language.
So it can be both, because if there is a fight going on, they don't want to stop and be part of the fight, they move out of that area.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, if they are fearful that it might cost their family some issues, they still have an option that because of fear, they are given a room It's not that everybody will be fearful and nobody will be reporting. We are making it mandatory, but we are excusing those times when they are fearful, maybe their family members could be impacted. So they have to protect their own family as well as city employees, and we are not changing mandatory. Point of order, can you please say that audience cannot engage? We cannot respond to them, so.
Okay. Yeah, audience, please respect the speakers while they're speaking.
So,
Okay. Officer, please share your insight and wisdom on this amendment.
Commander Bill Rowley from the Aurora Police Department. One of the early edits to this ordinance that was put through the first time this went through RAP and to Committee of the Whole was the replacement on the first word of line 11 from immediately to as soon as practical. I believe a return to that first altered language may sort of dissuade some of Alderman Bates' concerns about endangering themselves or others. The argument that was put forth earlier was specifically regarding police officers who have a primary function on these scenes to provide protection and safety for all people there. And the council agreed that we didn't want to have our police officers stop from that immediate necessary action for the purposes of immediately reporting. So that made it a when practical. Perhaps that will also help quell some of the concerns of Alderman Bade, where any other city agent or official who would have the same reporting requirements using when practical might allow them to remove themselves from a dangerous situation. There is still a provision to call 911 further down in the ordinance if they feel that their life or safety is in jeopardy. But that removing immediately to as soon as practical, I believe, may answer both questions, perhaps.
Okay. So with the intent, so shall without endangering themselves or others, and unless they are fearful for their safety, as soon as practical, report to their supervisor, who shall immediately report to the mayor's office. Okay. So,
Chairman Bug, it is my understanding, Chief of Staff came over and let us know that that change was made at RAP, so I'm not sure if this was another one of the amendments that was not updated, so that it was as soon as practicable instead of immediately.
okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a 5-minute recess, and we're going to allow council to confer with Chief of Staff and update the document, and we will come back at that time. We're going to be in recess for 5 minutes.
Yes. Enough with the semantics. Ya ni voy a grabar porque no, man, like I was like this. Like, oh my God, I've been like holding this cramp up for the right. Yeah, I got it.
Okay, I'm going to call back to order this special meeting for the Rules and Procedures Committee for the City of Aurora. Thank you for your patience as we get the language and drafting together. So thank you, Council. So we have some language that was inadvertently not placed in, and thank you to the officer who pointed that out. That was discussed before and was added previously. So now this section reads, beginning on line, I'm going to begin on line 8, or other support for civil immigration enforcement in violation of this chapter shall, without endangering themselves or others, and unless they are fearful for their safety, as soon as practical, report to their supervisor, who shall, as soon as practical, report to the mayor's office, etc. So that is that your proposed amendment as stated? Okay. And I will, let's have discussion on that first, and then we'll go forward. Any discussion on this, any further discussion on this wording?
I just want to clarify. So the word unless. So if they are fearful, that means they do not need. They don't need to report. Correct.
Correct.
Thank
so, yeah. If you want, I can explain more. But if that
You
makes
may,
sense. Yeah. And Alderman Bug had asked. This is the new one. Sorry. I'm gonna take it.
Okay, so this coming through is a new hardline copy. I'm going to ask everyone to take your old copies and place them face down. All 4 iterations. Okay, this is our current copy as passed with the last motion. This is the language we're dealing with. Does everyone have a copy?
And Alderman Bug, this copy did not print the actual red line type changes, but they are there on lines 9 and 10 if each individual alderperson could underline starting at without through safety, and that will reflect what's on the screen. So I apologize, I'm not sure why that did not print out.
Okay, so this is our current legislation plus the proposed amendment.
Correct.
Okay.
Chairman.
Alderman Bade was going to elaborate.
Okay.
I asked him if he needed any. He said he's okay. If
Okay.
there is any question, I can elaborate.
No, you can
Further.
explain. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But if you want to elaborate on it, yeah, feel free.
Okay, so as I mentioned before, like there could be a situation happening and the person is driving, they notice because there may be some fight going on or protest or something, they don't want to be part of it, they just move out of there. And since this says you are supposed to report, unless they're fearful of that time, so they didn't get to notice anything, and they're not able to report date, time, and number of personnel and everything. Other is they're fearful that because they reported, their ICE might come and get their family or that person themselves. So there's a fear of that. So in those cases, otherwise it is mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
So we are still making it mandatory, but there has to be something where you're taking care. And it's not for police officers only. It is for all the employees, all the people mentioned above. So any city employee, official, officer, agent, police officers have a different section. So this is like, if you're fearful, otherwise you are going to report. So we are mandating it, but just in that situation, because they have to protect their own families too. They may be.
Shannon, are you available?
Chief of Staff?
Thank you, Chief of Staff. I have a question. So just to elaborate on Alderman Bates, are the employees able to report anonymously?
So part of the policies and procedures would be figured out. We just put the form up, and I put it in 2 slides just to kind of get an example of what may happen based on the conversations. And anonymous reporting is certainly something that we could be suggested and we could write in there. Often legislation is about what to do, not how to do it. So what we would take is the legislation passed and figured out how we are going to go about doing it as the city and with city employees. I think the reason we had anticipated and thought very much about the concerns of our staff. We have a very diverse staff. A lot of our staff looks like the city we have, and we want to make sure that they aren't afraid of certain situations. I'm going to say again, we do not, and in any point of this, want to condone our staff interacting with ICE, getting in the middle of a situation at all. This would be still, we would expect them to go back and report it to their supervisor. That way we can let other city staff know, hey, there's a situation out this building. Be aware, you might not want to leave the building right now while there's a situation happening. So it helps us know, because if that person doesn't report it, then other people are vulnerable going out in that area. So it helps us get, put out an alert, do something so people know something's happening out there, to maybe be careful of a situation, right? So I think it's still the idea is that reporting it to a supervisor, it is perhaps we could even create some sort of anonymous reporting system. It's really about, not, I don't think that we're interested in, I'm never interested in how are we going to discipline staff over this. It's how are we going to protect our residents.
Okay. Any other questions?
Sure.
Alderman Barrero?
Chairman Bug, just wanted to comment on this. So I think there's a difference between reporting and documenting. So if the employees are afraid to document because they might get pepper sprayed. I know our deputy mayor was pepper sprayed, and so that is a real thing, that employees are afraid of these situations, and they could also be, other things could happen to them. And so I think that's the concern that Alderman Bate is trying to address. But again, I think there's a distinction between reporting it, hey, I saw something, telling a supervisor, and, documenting. That's one. And two, I think, as the Chief of Staff has said, the intent was to try to have something, an ordinance that was not too much in the weeds, but then it would be incumbent upon the mayor's office to put together the procedures and how this is going to work, and I imagine they'd be tweaking it along the way, and then to educate and train the staff of what to do when these situations arise. So, we're up here talking about what if this happens, what if that happens. We could be here all day with those situations. We have to adopt this ordinance, let the mayor's office work with the law department, the police department, and put their procedures together, train the staff. But we got to get moving, and if this is going to hold it up, we have to be able be willing to compromise, and what is the most important thing here? So if there's concern about people and their safety, I think it would be more concerning the documentation part, not so much the reporting, because the reporting, they're just reporting it to their supervisor. So if they're reporting it to their supervisor, hey, I saw something, Ms. Lang, would that result in them having to go to court or being identified?
I think it depends on how it's documented and what information is going to wherever it ends up. As we've said, this is only a few weeks old as far as what the governor has passed, so I don't fully comprehend on what route it's going to. But anytime there's a known witness, there is a possibility. I can tell you from our viewpoint, even with officers or when prosecuting, there are motions in the court system that you can use to either limit, if there's a confidential informant, those are in certain circumstances where you can do that. The law department would review all of that, as we do on every single thing involving the court system, litigation, depositions, in order to represent and protect the employees of the city of Aurora.
So the, I mean, I think this is a bad situation. You know, it's unfortunate that the perception is that we're pitting the community, you know, against staff or against even us up here in the dais. We're all trying to work this out and do the best thing in consideration of safety for everybody. And this point that Alderman Bay has brought up, I don't think it's trivial, because we do have employees that are concerned about their safety, and we have a situation where just by making a comment or speaking out, you get attacked and threatened, and that is a reality, unfortunately, that we're faced with. So I think that's part of this. So I'm supportive of what Alderman Bade is saying, but I again, I'm hoping that we can, you know, sort this out with or without the language, so we can get going on this ordinance.
Okay. So, I'll comment on this because, and I want to clarify so everyone's clear, because the intent of this, like I said, it could be read two ways. The intent of this is that if they're fearful for reporting, basically they don't have to. So we had some examples before. I think they're valid. I don't think this is a special overall situation, but we face situations every day. As a city employee, if you saw someone set fire to City Hall, you would be expected to call 911 and report that. Even if they looked menacing, they looked different than you, we would hope that you would say, or call 911 and say, a person threw a Molotov cocktail or a firebomb into City Hall. Please respond. We're not asking you to act, we're asking you to report. The example we had during RAP last time was if someone broke into the alderman's office or DSC or any other building, again, you would be expected as a city employee to pick up the phone and call 911 and have the proper authorities respond. Okay? What happens after that? You know, way down the road, if there's a court case against the arsonist, and could you get called? Certainly, that's the way the United States runs. That's the capitalistic and judicial way. There are three branches of government. That is just the way it is. So I am not in favor of this wording of this amendment the way it is. I would ask us, the committee, to vote against this, and I will tell you what I would suggest if we do vote on this.
Chair, there is a motion. Can you actually suggest people how to vote?
Yes. I said I am against this amendment. Yeah, sure. We do it all the time.
No, you can be against, but you can ask the committee to vote against.
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Anyone can. I asked for the reasons I've set forward, and the language, which I think would help part of what you said. I thank the officer again for adding in as soon as practical on the reporting. That's very important for our sworn officers and others. But I believe language without endangering themselves or others at the time, and unless they are fearful for their safety at the time, as soon as practical, report to the supervisor. So that the safety issue is the incident. If you are there and as in your description, something is happening, you are fearful, we want you to move away, get away, go far away from the situation as quickly as possible. If you are fearful, don't stay there. We don't want any employee to stay there. Get away. As soon as practical, pick up the phone. On November 7th at 5:30, I was at such location, and this happened to our police officers, and they will take it from there. That's it. You just report. If you don't see anything other than that, I was there, this is the date and time, something happened, that's it. But we cannot, I mean, if you say, call if you want, or don't call if you don't want. Every day we sit in our meetings with our police officers, we say, you see something, say something. We say it every day. I put it up on my signboard to my residents. Just call 911. And now we're telling ourselves, you don't have to do that. I think it's sending a gross mixed message. Bare minimum, pick up the phone, place, time, day, what you saw, and turn it over to our officers who are more than competent in what they're doing to handle the situation.
Can I ask a question on that?
Certainly.
So can that be added, that bare minimum and anonymity? If somebody doesn't want to disclose, you can add that. And right now there is so much that is required for the person to document. That is what that person could be fearful of. So maybe this is preliminary, and maybe further down the road when there are procedures being formed, they may have anonymity and all those things added, or they can add now.
Okay.
That should be fine with me.
Yeah, I want to back up. I think all the four faces looked at each other. You kept saying there is a bare minimum in here.
It's in the presentation.
Okay, the presentation is not the legislation text. We are only passing legislation. What is in our legislation text in our iPads or presentations, that is not the legislation. If it is not in the legislation, it is not the law.
That is why I wanted to add this, without endangering themselves or others. That is also not here, but.
Okay, and
when it was
we have that
presented to
here.
us-
Yeah, but you kept saying all these things that they have to report, and that is not in the legislation text.
Because-
You said it a couple times, and I don't want people to be confused. They don't.
Okay.
Yeah, so clearly, and mainly for us up here, the things in the presentation are not part of the legislation, okay? Those were examples, suggestions, recommendations, then we write the legislation, which is in front of us, okay?
I'm good with
And if I may, Chairman Bug, just say that based on this discussion and based on all of your feedback is something we would take back to discuss regarding creating that form. Because, hearing you about what those concerns are, things like that, that's what we would take back based on the legislation that you do hopefully vote through at some point. Yeah.
Okay. So of course, we all want this to come to an amicable decision, an amicable wording for this. If we have this proposed amendment right now. If we added in the words without endangering themselves or others at the time, and unless they are fearful for their safety at the time, as soon as practical, report to the supervisor. I say by name or anonymously. Actually, I put in the wrong spot.
I can take my motion back, and you can do the language, and then we can vote on that.
Okay. So we have
We
a,
also take second.
the motion is withdrawn.
I'll retract my motion.
Okay,
My
your
second.
second,
My
okay,
second.
thank you. So per Alderwoman Bates and at her suggestion, I'm going to entertain a motion for the reading after the word shall without endangering themselves or others at the time. And unless they are fearful for their safety at the time. As soon as practical, report by name or anonymously to their supervisor, who shall, as soon as practical, report to the mayor's office. That is my entertained motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Do I hear any discussion on the new motion?
Chairman Bates, sorry, Chairman Bug.
Alderman White.
So by adding that language, does that still give somebody the option, if they are fearful, to not report? Because it says, you still have, unless they are fearful. So if someone's fearful, it sounds like they don't have to do this.
No, fearful at that time, during the incident.
Okay,
Not fear of reporting later, because you're not even reporting immediately, you're reporting as soon as practical.
Okay.
So we hope it's gonna be as soon as practical, but even the next day. The fear of the incident isn't there, okay? There's no one, you're not there anymore. There's no fear of the incident, you're not there anymore, you're back at home, you're in your office, whatever, and you pick up the phone and call 911 and let our officers know what happened.
okay. So just so I understand, where on page 2, line 10.
There, they have it right here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. Where it says 2, line 10. And then, okay, and unless they are fearful, the part in blue, and unless they are fearful for their safety at the time, as soon as practical. So then, my question is, it says unless they are fearful. So if they are fearful, does that mean they don't have to?
No, again, that's why we added the second at the time.
At the time.
Yes. So you're
So then it's assumed that, okay, with the second at the time, it's assumed that you're going to do it later.
you're going to do it as soon as
Okay,
practical.
got it. Okay, all right,
Just
got it.
Word for word, as soon as practical. So it doesn't have to be immediate. You can totally remove yourself very far away from any fearful situation. Go back to your office, go to your car, go wherever. Move. We don't want people to stay there if they're in fear. Get as far away as you can. But as soon as practical, contact our officers and they will take it from there. And you could do that now anonymously. So if you say, this is the date, the time, the place, and I saw 2 people doing this, and I am anonymous. And then your supervisor and those people will get the information to who they need to get it to. Any other questions or comments on this collaborative amendment?
Chairman Bug,
Alderman Boone-Ellis.
for me, that unless is what's throwing me off. I want us to get this going and actually prove it, but I want to digest that a little bit. So I'm willing to say yes, so we can continue and get this going. But if at COW or at City, I want to digest that whole sentence.
Okay. Originally, I had some questions about the word unless also.
Okay.
Another way to term things when you're putting in unless is and if. Just in drafting things.
Maybe Doug can suggest something. Legal can suggest.
I like that, and if.
Council, do you have any suggestions?
We can remove unless and do and /if.
Okay. So I will amend my proposal and strike the word unless and add and if they are fearful for their safety at the time, as soon as practical, report by name or anonymously to their supervisor. I think that's clearer anyway. Okay.
Do you need a second?
Yeah, we got a motion and a second on this amendment. No further discussion. We're going to go ahead and call the roll.
Chairperson Edward J. Bug.
Yes.
Vice Chair Daniel Barrero.
Yes.
Alderman Javier Benuelos.
Yes.
Alderwoman Shweta Bade.
Yes.
Alderman at Large Will White.
Yes.
5 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. Okay. I appreciate everyone. Are there any further comments from the committee and or my colleagues on the dais? Alderman Larson.
Thank you. Yeah, so I have an amendment. I believe it was passed out. It's fairly similar to the amendment that I put forward on Tuesday. However, it's in the context of, I guess, not what we have in front of us right now, but the amendment that Alderman Seville made on Tuesday. So it's adding a section C, or part C, in section 40-3 at the end. So I can read it out and then have some discussion on it.
Okay, so everyone, that is titled, I'll just read the title as is, Seville plus Larson Amendment.
Correct.
So we're on page 2, line 20. Everyone have that document. Larson Amendment, page 2, line 20. Okay, continue, Alderman Larson.
Yes, so that Part B is the same. I'll read that, but my amendment starts at Part C. So Part B is the Aurora Police Department shall adopt standard operating procedures, SOP, to document violations of this chapter when sworn officers on duty observe such violations. And then C, this SOP shall include protocols for documenting the following information if available: date, time, and location of the incident, footage of the incident from the body-worn camera of the investigating officer, identity, credentials, badge numbers, and agencies of federal agents or officers involved, the make, model, vehicle identification number, and license plate number of vehicle or vehicles confirmed by the primary officer to be operated by federal immigration enforcement, the identity of description of anyone who is detained or arrested by federal civil immigration enforcement, a description of the events observed, including any use of force, verbal commands, and restraint methods, and whether a warrant was presented and the type of the warrant.
Okay.
So, yeah, if I can say a few things about this. This is setting, it's defining some minimum requirements for the standard operating procedures mentioned in Part B. I'm open to any suggestions from the members of the committee. I'm not on the committee, so I can't make a motion to amend here, but I'm also open to just having a discussion about it and taking any feedback. And between now and city council, whether we're doing a special city council meeting or whatever the process will be, I can make updates to this and have it distributed to the council so everyone has plenty of time beforehand to look at it before a vote, depending on what happens today. I also had a conversation earlier today with the chief of police and deputy chief, talking about their take on this and their concerns. One concern that I wanted to bring up is the way that it's sort of vague at page 2, line 21, where it says if available, if the following information is available. The way that I interpret this is if they can't get the information because they're seeing the end of an incident, federal agents may be leaving a lot. You can't get all that information. It's also possible that federal agents will intentionally obstruct the police from gathering this information or refuse to identify themselves. In my opinion, these are things that could be included in the report, as I couldn't get the badge number because they refused to give it to me. However, we don't want language in this to potentially get people in APD in trouble for something that federal law enforcement is doing. If they're refusing to give over this information, I'm open to language to make that very clear, that all of this information is only if they can reasonably get it. We're not expecting anything unreasonable.
Okay, thank you. So we have a proposal. It's not an entertained motion, but a proposal from Alderman Larson. Any discussion from the committee on the proposal?
Yes, Chairman.
Alderman Watt.
Yes. So from line 21, following, you list several items or several things in which a officer would be expected to include in a report following a situation. So I'm wondering, of these items listed, what is in here that wouldn't already be in a general report?
I don't know if anyone from APD would like to address that. We did have a conversation about their internal procedures.
Alderman Larson? Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
That's my role.
My bad. Yeah, I can let the police expand on that, but my understanding is there is no one size fits all report. It'll depend on the type of incident.
Right, I got it. Chief Thomas, you want to come forward?
Hi, Chief Thomas. So we have a.
Go ahead and say your name again
Sorry,
for the
Chief
record.
Matt Thomas. So I just wanted to let you guys know, we do have a policy that already covers report preparation. That's what we were talking to Alderman Larson about today. And we in our policies, we tell our officers what to take reports for, but the how to is very vague because there's so many different areas that they take reports in. Criminal incidents, non-criminal incidents, lost property, missing persons, there's a lot of things that they are required to take reports on. But what we don't do is we don't drill down into each one. We give a very generic, and I'll read it to you, that in our report preparation policy, it says all reports shall accurately reflect the identity of the persons involved, all pertinent information seen, heard, or assimilated by any other sense, and any actions taken. Members shall not suppress, conceal, or distort the facts of any reported incident, nor shall any member make a false report orally or in writing. Generally, the reporting member's opinions should not be included in reports unless specifically identified as such. So those guidelines cover all of Alderman Larson's specifics, date, time, vehicle information. This piece right here that says that all reports shall accurately reflect the identity of the persons involved, all pertinent information seen, heard, or assimilated by any other sense, and any actions taken.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And to follow up with that, aside what they report on whatever form, their body-worn camera is going to be a visual of whatever is happening in front of them, and their car camera will also be a visual of whatever the car is picking up. Is that correct?
That's correct. It won't be preserved indefinitely, though, because there's requirements under the body-worn camera law.
Oh, certainly.
That don't allow it to be preserved indefinitely, so there's limitations on that. But, yeah, I mean, we don't tell, I think that it's proper for the how to write a report should live in our policy. When to write a report, right? We tell our officers when to write a report. That can be in an ordinance. We do that anyway for any type of violation that's in the ordinance. But the how to should live in policy.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for the chief on this matter right
Yes.
now?
Yes.
Alderman Barrero.
Chief, I have a couple questions. So the reporting, is that on a form? Is there a prescribed form, or what format is used for reporting?
Yeah, we have an incident report.
An incident report?
I can provide that
And-
for you
and
guys.
So there's training for this, filling out the incident report? Is there training provided?
Yes.
For filling out these reports?
Yes,
And,
yes, an incident.
and they have to be, the detail has to be there because these are used for court?
Correct. Yeah, I can give you a copy of what our blank report looks like, because
Okay.
that might help you out with.
So the intent is that these reports are going to capture as much as possible
Yeah,
because they're going to be used in the future, so.
Correct.
Thank you.
And then,
Chief, is this from my phone call talking to records earlier today? And yeah, all right, I appreciate it.
And these, when these reports are completed, are they reviewed by a supervisor?
That's the other thing, it's another extra layer of review, so that if the reports are incomplete, we hold them accountable because they're incomplete.
Okay.
And that happens, historically, we've had to hold officers accountable for not including some information that should have been captured at the scene. So.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to give everybody 60 seconds to digest what this police incident form entails, what it encompasses, all the information that is elicited from the report on any given incident.
Can I add one thing?
Certainly.
Yeah. My only other concern with it being in the ordinance, we talked about this before, is so if it's in policy, we hold them accountable as an employee in policy. If it's in an ordinance, then the suggestion would be that they might be able to be fined for not following it in an ordinance. And that's not the method that we discipline our officers that's included in our CBA. We hold them accountable in the police department for following policies, but not in an ordinance with a fine.
Okay. Thank you for that. We appreciate it. Everybody got a chance to look over the document. It is pretty all-encompassing, I believe. Alderman Bay, you have a question about it?
Yes, I want to know the intent of this, in this. Are we creating policy for APD now? How to document for this? Like maybe Alderman Larson can mention the intent of having this, because this report has so many things already, and we are asking to add another form to this or repeat, and I didn't follow why we are doing it 2 times.
Yeah, the request, I do not, and I don't want to speak for Alderman Larson, just for clarification, I do not believe it is a request for a second form or an addition form,
Okay,
but
maybe
just
let's
the
hear
report
his
include the
intent.
things that he had listed. But Alderman Larson.
Yeah, so I guess what I see in Part C here at page 2, line 20, it starts as, this SOP shall include protocols for documenting the following information if available. So I see it more as a regulation on what the procedures are rather than what procedures APD must adopt rather than what the officers must do, which I think is slightly different. I guess if officers were to not follow through with the procedures here, that would be, I guess, a more internal matter rather than a matter of violating the ordinance, since the ordinance is dictating the procedure. That's how I see it.
Okay.
It's setting a minimum requirement on that.
Okay. And from what the chief stated and the form itself, is there information from the form, from your proposal for the ordinance, that it would not be captured?
I guess looking through the form, for example, like the badge number of federal agents, I don't think that's a typical thing that would be in this form.
That can be captured in the narrative.
Yeah,
They'll
that
put
does
that
seem
in the
like a
narrative.
catch-all.
If they have it, they'll put that in the narrative for sure.
And I try and discuss these things in a general sense. So if, right now, if APD was responding to a situation and Oswego was involved or was on the border and they responded and you both took information or you're both involved, and in the report, you had to say also Officer Smith from Oswego was involved, would you state his name, Officer Smith, and his badge number?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's standard, again, standard operating procedure
Absolutely.
already.
And then it would be reviewed by a sergeant who said, did you catch the officer's name that was assisting you? And if they said no, then they would say, can you call Oswego and find out who that officer was that was assisting you on that call?
Okay, okay. Okay. So, any other things that possibly not captured from?
Yeah, I think with that sort of catch-all narrative thing at the end, this incident report could be reused for these sorts of incidents, like the warrant. Obviously, that's not something that's in a typical incident. You know, another law enforcement agency enforcing a warrant. So, yeah, I think the narrative would be able to capture most of that.
Yeah, okay, I appreciate that. And right now, the APD, if they're dealing with state police or someone else, and they have a warrant, and we are backing them up or involved, in our report, would it say the state police had a warrant when they walked up to the door, or
Yeah, we
would
just
we
did it
include that
today with the
information?
U.S. Marshals, yep.
Okay.
Yep,
all
we
right.
just assisted them on a warrant service today, so absolutely.
Okay. So we took note that they had the warrant actually, and that is in our reports and,
Correct.
and can go back and glean from the activity. So are there any other questions on the proposal?
Question on the form.
Well, let's just stick with the proposal, because I want to
It's
try.
relevant. It's
Okay.
relevant. So Chief, on the narrative section, is this expandable? Because it's just.
Oh,
this-
yes.
So this could be pages?
I've
It could
written
be a lot
pages
more.
of those before, yeah.
So it's not just limited to this one box?
No, sir, no.
And secondly, we're talking about is when the officers, this incident report is relative to the ordinance that the city's going to adopt. So when they come out, they're coming to enforce the ordinance, so it pertains to the ordinance.
Yeah.
So they're gonna be trained, I presume.
Yeah, we'll have a training bulletin.
So
Yeah,
then,
on
so
it.
then they know what they're looking for.
Yeah, yeah, we can use
Right.
all that stuff in a
So-
training, but we can
so-
work with the
so that's-
mayor's
so
office on
that's-
that.
So that's germane, because if they come out to enforce the ordinance, the first thing they're gonna ask, do you have a warrant? I mean, right, I mean, that, and it goes from there.
Yeah.
Right, okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay. So officially, Alderman Larson, do you want to ask a member of the city committee to entertain a motion at this time?
If the committee is prepared to adopt this, you're welcome to. Otherwise, I'll prepare a motion for city council.
Okay. All right, so I believe, yeah, I believe if you go back and take a look at this, given what the chief has stated today, given the police incident form, kind of put all that together and see where we're at when we come back to city council next week.
And I'm available for any questions if you have.
That next week was intentional. Okay. So if we don't have any other business, no other amendments from the committee, no further comments from our colleagues on the dais, we have some bookkeeping and some cleanup. Council.
I just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page. As we have been going through this, I have been updating the different drafts. The one that is going to be labeled Legistar 25-0898, Exhibit A, WRAP, passed ordinance, November 7th, 2025. Exhibits, I believe there were 2 amendments? The 2 amendments, some were incorporated within the amendments. Those are all included here, and that will proceed. We'll update it in Legistar, so we all start with the clean copy next week when the special city council is being held.
Yeah, we just needed you to scroll down.
Okay, thank you.
Can you scroll back up to the second amendment? Okay. All right. So from what I can glean, the wording from both amendments are dictated here, and
Yes, when Alderwoman Garza's amendment went through, I approved all the track changes that you saw. Those were accepted, and then we went to Alderwoman Bade's amendment, which was then withdrawn. Your amendment, the different variations were then also track changed, and I accepted those, and then I cleaned up the header of each page of the document to reflect this is what was passed by the RAB Council today.
okay. And everybody, the committee at least, everything you see on the screen is as we have passed it from what you can see, and we will continue to, yes? Okay.
Motion to approve.
Thank you so much. We're just looking, oh, yeah, it's approved. We, Yeah, we did both the amendments, and now we're going to do the full legislation with the two amendments, okay?
Did we vote on your amendment?
Yes. Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah, we voted. So now we have the original legislation and the two amendments all encompassed, and that is what we're voting on.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Clerk, let's do a roll call vote.
Chairperson Edward J. Bug.
Yes.
Vice Chair Daniel Barrero.
Yes.
Alderman Javier Benuelos.
Yes.
Alderwoman Shota Bade.
Yes.
Alderman at-large Will White.
Yes.
5 yes, 0 no.
Hallelujah. Okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions, comments for the good of the committee? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 4:45 p.m. Thank you, everyone.